2017 is over and done with. Can you believe it? Another 12 months in the books as we all take another step towards death. And during these moments of realization, it's important to remember the things that matter, such as which games were so bad this year that they need to be given one last kicking before we all embrace 2018 with big smiles and party hats. That's exactly what we're going to do today. My name is Simon Miller, this is TMR, and these are officially the worst 10 games of 2017. Number 10, Double Dragon 4. On paper, this sounded great. Double Dragon back in our lives in 2017, reminding us all that life was better decades ago, and now we have to put up with Twitter and other shit like that. They were even going to make it in the same guise as games from that era, which would surely be the perfect nostalgia boost. That did not happen at all on any level. Instead, it had none of the joy the originals had, and potentially may have been the most repetitive game of the year. All you ever do is the same combat over and over again, and it's so slow, it's like you're wading through mud. Times doesn't even feel like you're in control. On top of that, it was only about 2 hours long, and developer Arc System Works also built in glitches for that authentic NES feel. And guess what? Said glitches just drive you nuts. This was such a good idea when it first came out, but honestly, it's abysmal. Don't even think about playing it, unless you hate yourself. Number 9, Destiny 2. This is a weird entry and probably one that has made you throw your arms in the air and go, what? And that's fair. Compared to many other games on this list, Destiny 2 is not a bad game. Far from it. However, it creates such a storm on social media with millions of people moaning about how Bungie and Activision have treated this sequel that you can't help but think something has gone awry. Even a quick search drags up such complaints as it being too different from the first game, which they also moaned about, the content being poor and just not enough, the grind being boring, the raid straight up disappointing, and that PvP is, quote, crap. Some were so upset they even declared Destiny 2 as the end for the developer altogether. Ultimately, you just don't do a lot in Destiny 2. Whatever you've done in the first 10 minutes is more or less the exact same thing you'll be doing at hour 40. Whether that floats your boat or not depends on the ship you're sailing. Given who's involved though, you've got to admit that it's a shame. Not only has Destiny 2 failed to set the world on fire, but it upset fans as well. For me, that's enough to make it one of the worst games of 2017. Number 8, 1-2 Switch. Nintendo don't often get it wrong when it comes to the tech demos they release to explain why their new console is so unique, but that wasn't the case with the Switch. Well, the Nintendo will mind. Their new machine is on course to smash all expectations and be a huge success. They're probably not even thinking about 1-2 Switch now, but why would they? This was clearly meant to be the modern day version of Wii Sports, which would captivate the audience and convince them to drop all their monies, which is what happened back in 2007. The problem started when 1-2 Switch wasn't part of a bundle though and was a standalone game, so you're being asked to pay £60 for this, and there just wasn't that much to shout about. You did bizarre things like throw marbles around or eat sandwiches, it just wasn't that fun to play. Most of the gameplay was just moving the Joy-Con into the same positions shown on screen, and you could do that just by staring in the mirror and looking at your own stupid face. That's free. All the minigames also started to blur into one before long as well. It just gets a bit boring. It really was a missed opportunity as this could have been quite fun, but again, Nintendo doesn't care. It all worked out so well, it can bury this under the rug and move on. Like dog shit. Actually, don't do that. Don't bury dog shit under the carpet. It will start to smell. Number 7, Mass Effect Andromeda. The fact we're at the end of 2017 and no one is talking about Mass Effect Andromeda sums it all up. Forget lifeless faces or bugs. The real issue with Andromeda was that it just didn't capture the magic of the original trilogy. It was a bit dull. It was always going to be tough on BioWare's end because it was essentially starting again with the 4th Mass Effect, and the major sensation left was a yearning for Commander Shepard and his group of lovely friends. Here, none of the characters were that memorable, and it took so long to get going that you had to wade through hours of boredom before anything exciting happened. Why this took 5 years is anyone's guess, especially with the aforementioned technical errors. In short then, Andromeda does suffer because of Mass Effect's success. It's a competent action RPG that does find its stride eventually, but it's not a patch on what came before. Because of that, it winds up in this list, which may be horribly unfair. But hey, so is life. A lesson learned. Number 6, Star Wars Battlefront 2. Well, it had to make an appearance somewhere, didn't it? Another EA game that falls foul to matters outside of the actual game. Star Wars Battlefront 2 dug its own grave with a microtransaction and progression system that actively went out of its way to not only hurt players, but demand extra cash on top of that £60 you'd already plonked down. That just wasn't cool. It got so bad it threw the loot box debate into the mainstream, so much so it didn't even matter if Battlefront 2 was any good or not. There were too many obstacles in the way to get to that part, and those who could begin to appreciate it still had to deal with this intrusive back end that constantly made you jump through more and more hoops. If nothing else, you had to pay a ridiculous amount of in-game currency to unlock the characters everyone wanted to play as. No one wants to have to wait before they can use Darth Vader. That's dumb. And so really was Battlefront 2, and what a shame that is. It should have been the game of the year, and now it's in the worst list instead. Number 5, Sonic Forces. Another game that suffered because Sonic Mania was also released in 2017 and proved that the franchise isn't just a joke these days. Sonic Forces went completely the other way and sucked. Now forget the fact that Sega's favourite mascot has always been rubbish, and that's another debate for another day. This was just not good. It's just such a huge step back for the series with crap level design and gameplay so throwaway it's actually hard to progress. Rather than just stick to what makes Sonic good, once again Sega felt the need to work in modern ideas, and it just knocks the whole concept off its perch. Plus it had a dumb story that makes no sense. To be fair, this is meant to be targeting a younger audience, but that's like saying we should feed our children awful food because they wouldn't understand anyway. Just shove a gone-off egg in its mouth. There's no way a kid wouldn't be able to see the merits of something like Sonic Mania, so we shouldn't just let Forces get a pass, and nor should we be feeding kids gone-off eggs. 3D Sonic games just don't work, so let's not do it anymore. Ever. Number 4, Mighty Morphin Power Rangers Mega Battle. Do you like smashing the same button over and over again until your fingers bleed and you give up on life? Then go and play Mighty Morphin Power Rangers Mega Battle, because that's all that will happen. I swear. Even a 4-year-old that's just found out about games will be bored of this within 10 minutes, and aside from the aesthetic, there's nothing here that makes it a Power Rangers game. It's just the name and an art style, then you punch till your thumbs fall off. It really is designed to get fans to drop £15 because they're already invested in the franchise, but the lack of effort is so obvious. It's like a fish leaping out of a pond and slapping you in the face. You don't know how it happened, but you damn sure didn't like it. It's a cash-in to say the least and just doesn't need to be played. Spend the money on a shit Power Rangers costume instead and run around your living room. It's more fun. Number 3, Troll and I. Disappointing straight away because it's not a game where you go online and try and wind people up. Troll and I surely has to be a forgotten PS2 title that someone secretly snuck on the Xbox One, PS4 and Switch, because it's garbage. I felt like I threw this away in 2002, and yet here it is back in my damned face. It's not just that either, because the controls are terrible. Half the game is you just walking forward, climbing a ledge, and then walking forward some more, before you then put in the shoes of our friend the troll for a while. Guess what he does? That's right, he walks forward, climbs up a ledge, and then walks forward some more. Combat straight up sucks too, and all in all there's not one redeeming feature here, other than the fact if someone you hated play it, they'd be a little bit sad for a while. So you can give it to them as a gift or something, and watch them get all upset. Other than that, Troll and I is an abomination to mankind. Literally. Number 2, Friday the 13th. A more personal entry on this list than many. Friday the 13th was a disappointment because of the errors that riddled it from day one. A great idea in theory, with one person taking the role of a serial killer and 4 other players trying to survive. It was awesome, if you could get a game. Thing is, you couldn't. In my first week of trying to play, I was able to overcome the crippling server issues only twice, and even now when I dip my toe back in, it's a crapshoot at best. How can anything be deemed a success if I can't even get to part 1 of the damn thing? Instead, it was just sitting in a lobby watching an icon twirl around, waiting and hoping that technology would actually work how it was meant to. It was so frustrating, many people just gave up, and that in itself is terrible. Even if developer Gun Media could fix all this, by the time that happened, many gamers had felt done in, and rightfully so. Games aren't cheap and time is precious. Relying on patches post-launch is never cool. Number 1, Call of Duty World War II. A surprise, right? But I didn't choose this. You did. Made real thanks to the magic of Twitter and polling, I simply asked if one of these games had to go into the worst games of 2017 list, what should win? In with 35% was COD WW2, beating out Assassin's Creed Origins, Total War Warhammer 2, and Zelda Breath of the Wild. The real question is why? Definitely one of the more solid Call of Duties for some time, and outselling last year's entry completely already. Activision's return to World War II did seem to irk some fans with yet more questionable progression and a single player that was over before it got going. Now I like that, the shorter the campaign the better in my world, but it's safe to say that the COD model has run its course for a certain faction of gamers, even if that isn't affecting sales when the marketing is done right and the idea is good. Still, we live in a democracy and the people have spoken. The worst game of 2017 is COD WW2 because the world demanded it. I'm always happy to oblige. Long live trolling. Now don't forget all these videos are made possible thanks to patreon.com/Simon316, so please do click the link on the screen or the description and give what you can. Like, share and subscribe, leave a comment below letting me know how mad you are, and make sure you tune in tomorrow when we do the best games of 2017 and see what won.